This is one of the realest videos that I've ever made. I am recording this video on the 13th of May 2026. And if you are living in the United Arab Emirates, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Sharjah, or anywhere in the Middle East, this is a video that you do not have to miss. This is one of the realest videos that I've ever made. On the 1st of May 2026, I received my termination from the company I have been working for the past 2 and 3 months. Mind you, April I had gone for vacation back home in Uganda. Backstory, when I was at the airport going home, that last minute when you're seated in the lounge waiting for your flight, waiting to get into the plane. I wrote down a few things, and one of the things that I wrote down on my calendar was to resign from my job on 1st of May 2026. Now, my job wasn't bad. My job wasn't toxic. My leaders were, in fact, I was working with my best friend as my supervisor. However, there was one small thing that I didn't like about my job, and that was the fact that we were hired for a project that was still under development. So there were lots of softwares and applications that needed to be in place in order for us to start doing our job fully. So for the past 2 years, what we were doing was testing and the application and then realizing that there are faults in the applications. And trust me, at a given point, in fact, so many different intervals, I was like, these people are paying us for free. Like all we used to do is to get into office. Like it was to show up our presence that I have come to office. And you would spend time on your laptop, maybe watching movies or maybe talking to your family or maybe speaking on the phone. And I don't want to lie that it was fun at the beginning, but as time went on, for the first month, yes, it was fun. Then the second month, I felt like, like I really need to get my brain going. And while at that job, I started doing online courses. I was able to do a diploma in digital marketing. I did a certificate in social psychology. I did a certificate in personal branding and AI. Now, why am I sharing this? By the time you are watching this video, I'm on a 1 month notice with a company that I've been working for. And as much as it was painful, it was the right thing to do because just the same way I have told you that we weren't really giving value to the company and they weren't giving value back to us other than paying us a salary. Now, of course, it's a beautiful thing, but then when you are in a place for such a long time and you are not growing, sometimes you really need to move. Now, the beauty about this whole thing is that for all these months, in fact, when I made 6 months at this company, I decided to start applying for jobs in different companies and brands. But all I got was, we regret to inform you. You know that email that comes when they have not given you the job. I wouldn't even get a single interview, even a single invitation to be interviewed. And I was wondering, what is the problem? I remember I had been taken to one of the departments to help them when they needed somebody to help them, how do they call it? Like a support team. And I was like, they were like, but Teddy, how are you managing being there? I was like, yeah, it's really boring. And trust me, I am trying my best to apply, but nobody is calling me. So I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I am going to create a date in my mind. Whether I have a job, a new job or not, I'm just going to resign because I appreciate the fact that I have a job, but I am not growing and I'm not giving any value to my current company. So they were like, yeah, because having a job is really safe. It feels safe knowing that at the end of the month, I'm going to receive a salary. We all want that. And resigning out of that job, they haven't chased you. You're not even working. To me, it felt like, Teddy, this is witchcraft. Like, where are you going? Do you even have a job? Do you have a plan B? So I would just stay there because, so like I was saying, it's very hard for you to just wake up one day and you're like, I am leaving my job without a plan B or without the job letting you go. So when I was at the airport, I wrote down that on 1st May, I was gonna resign from my job. Mind you, this was April, on my way to the airport in Uganda to check on my family. Did I have a new job? No, I didn't. But in my mind, I felt like sometimes you have to completely let go of what you have in order to make room for what you want to have. I know this mindset might sound crazy for some people, and I totally understand. It's really scary, but I realized this works. Now, I really hope this video gets to people who are currently in a situation that I am in. Probably you are one of those people whose companies have downsized, or they have given you a forced leave, or they have, it couldn't even be a job. It could be a relationship that you feel like it's not the right fit for you in the moment. And I hope by the end of this video, you realize how important it is to let go of anything that you feel like doesn't align with your values or with your needs, to make room for those that do. So I came back at the end of April, back to my job. And the day that I reached, the following day, my supervisor told me what was going on because we are very close. In fact, he's the one who recommended me to the job. I think I shared something like that, how God led me to my dream job. Mark you, by then it was my dream job. It's so funny how life keeps on evolving and changing. By the time I got this job, it was everything that I needed. But then as time went on, as I worked on myself, as I discovered myself, I realized that I belonged somewhere else. So when my supervisor told me about what was going to happen, of course, it hit me a bit because I was like, I have spent all my money, most of my savings on vacation because I was sure I was coming back to work. But then it hit me. I had written down on my calendar that I was going to resign from my company on 1st of May 2020. You guys, if anything, please don't play with the power of the tongue or the power of your intentions or the power of your request, because by that time you put out that request to God, everything in the universe works together for your good. In fact, it works together for it to be fulfilled, whether it's for your good or for your bad. And it goes back to the mindset that we should always speak out the things that we want to happen, because either way, the law of attraction and the law of, what is it called? There are laws in life that even if you do things subconsciously or consciously, they are going to happen according to how the law of life work. So I wasn't ready, even when I wrote it down, even when I spoke it, even when I didn't know that I meant it, because believe me or not, I feel deep inside of me, if I still had that job by then, I would not have the balls to resign by 1st May. So, like I mentioned, I came back at around the end of April the end of April. So I worked that last week of April, and May 1st, my HR, the one who gave me this job, walked into the office with her assistant. And a day before, our supervisor had told us that she needed to talk to us. So the first thing she said was that this is the hardest part about my job, but I have to do it. And of course, because we knew we all mature people. I feel like I was led to that job because that's where I was in that moment of my growth. And I felt so aligned with the people that I was working with at that moment. How? In the way that we thought, in the way that we saw life. As much as we came from different backgrounds, there is something about us that aligned, and I believe that's the reason as to why we were in that place. Now, one thing that I do believe about life is that life will always push you or put you in positions where you belong in that moment. And when your time is done, still life itself will push you where you belong to be in that specific moment. So we knew what was happening, and most of us, in fact, most of the people we were hired with had already gotten jobs and they had left the company. But a few of us had remained, but we all saw this coming. We all knew that it would happen. In fact, we were surprised that the company had considered to renew our contracts like 3 months back, because this contract that they terminated, I had just renewed it in about Feb this same year. So when they said they were renewing the contract, it didn't make sense because honestly, like I mentioned, we weren't bringing in money to the company or adding any value, and they weren't adding any value to us besides the salary they were giving us. So of course, there were lots of emotions that were involved, when the HR was telling us about the dismissal of the project that we were doing. But then at the end of the day, we had mixed feelings because we were happy that we are finally going. We are finally going, but we were scared because we didn't know where exactly we were going, if that makes sense. Now, I'm recording this video because I know there are lots of people who are in my situation. So many companies in the Middle East, in the UAE, have terminated their employees. They have downsized, and most of them it's because of the war, because of the political climate that is going on. But then some of them, they are trying to clear the mistakes that they made previously before the political climate became what it is right now. So they're taking advantage of the situation. And honestly, if I were a business owner, I totally understand and it really makes sense. So why am I recording this video again? It's because something happened that I didn't see coming. So when they gave us our resignations, our terminations, they told us you don't have to come back to work until the end of this month, until actually 31st of May. You will come back and return everything that belongs to the company. Those who have the company laptops, you have SIM cards, you have uniforms, anything that you have that belongs to the company, you need to bring it by 31st of May. And by then you will sign your cancellation and we shall work upon it, and you will have to either fly back to your countries or find another job. So this time was actually given to us to decide what we want to do with our lives. Now, because I had just come back from home, what I had in my mind was like, you know what, enough is enough. I'm just gonna go back home and live with my family. I miss my kids. And I was sure that I had made up my mind I was going home because listen, I've been applying for jobs for the past like 1.5 years, but I haven't seen anybody calling me for a single interview. Now, what am I going to do in this moment when even the political situation is really bad? And that's the mistake that we do as people, or as believers. We think that God's ways is our ways. Because we see a challenge, we don't even think that God is the creator of heaven and earth and everything in it. Yes, the political climate is bad. Yes, there is a crisis. Yes, everything doesn't make sense. But to God, let's normalize knowing that God is God. Like, God is not human. Like God can literally create a way in the middle of a sea. Like God can literally bring back the dead to life. That God literally, oh Jesus, I feel like preaching, guys. Anywho, so we go back home, and the first week was hard, because I was thinking, I was like, Teddy, what next? Now, what am I going to do? I spoke to my family about what's happening, and I am so blessed with a wonderful family. I am so blessed with a wonderful mother. My mother is a woman of faith, and she has built that in us. My mother is very supportive of my dreams. Like, she's not the kind of person who will hand me money, like, yeah, go chase your dreams. But she will support me emotionally, spiritually, and even finances if I need them. And she has it, she wouldn't mind giving it to me. My siblings, oh my goodness, my siblings, they were always, they I love the fact that at this point they trust me and they believe in the decisions that I make for my own life. Back in the day, they would try to advise me here and there, but right now I love the fact that they always tell me, Teddy, do what you feel that is right for you. And it makes me feel like they trust in my judgment. So at first, I thought I was going back home, and I told them I'm gonna do my best to find a job. But if I don't, I'm gonna come back home and see what I can do from there. So I started telling my friends about my situation. You know what? The project that I've been working with has been terminated, and we have like 1 month and a half to decide if we are going back home or if we are finding something new to do. My friends, you guys, they say your social capital is your net worth. By the way, don't even minimize people. Like, I'm going to tell my situation to only those who are in managerial roles. You do not know who is going to connect you to your next job. If you have lost your job currently, and if you are in the UAE or any part of the world, if you are looking for a job, do not minimize who can lead you to your next opportunity. Any person that you get close to has potential of leading you to your next job or to your next breakthrough. So I went on to tell the people in my network how I lost my job and I was looking for something new. And believe me, in just 1 week, I was able to secure 4 interviews. Like 4 interviews. Remember, for the last 1.5 years, I was applying ruthlessly every single day. Like, my job at work was, because we weren't working. So I would come home, I would go to office with a schedule of at least submitting 10 CVs, applying to 10 companies. Then I would do personal growth, personal development, then I do my courses. Then I go to online coach, like those online webinars. One thing that this job has given me has been the gift of time. And I thank God for the grace that I've been able to use my time wisely to invest in my growth. I haven't been able to grow from the role that I was hired for, but I have had the privilege to grow from so many different networks. I have connected with networks in different parts of the world, and those people, and I feel like it has helped my mindset to grow and to change the way how I see myself. So, like I mentioned, I got 4 interview invitations and I got 3 offers from all those interviews. And remember, and you know what? The fourth one, it's not that I didn't get the job, but it's because I decided that I'm not going to shrink in my CV. I decided that I'm gonna create my resume exactly as it is. I'm not going to leave behind any experience that I have just in order to fit in the environment that I want to be in. Hi, sis. Sorry to interrupt your podcast. I just want to inform you about my new upcoming book, which is called Let's Make Some Lemonades. This is not just a typical heartbreak book, but it's a book with practical tools and steps that can help anybody going through challenges of life who is trying to build again from scratch. I took my time writing this book and I wrote it from my heart. And I promise you that you can never read this book and remain the same. So if you want to be one of the first people who receive a copy as soon as the book is published, check the description and book your copy. Now, back to our podcasts. For example, when I just started out, I was a customer care service. Then I went into financial sales. Then I went into logistics. Then I did content strategy. Then I did digital specialist. Then I became a digital specialist. Then on top of that, I was doing digital creation and I did digital marketing. So I was like, and I was into AI. I was into AI training. So I decided that I'm gonna hold all my knowledge and all my experience and make sure that I fit it into my resume. The company that feels like I do not align with what they need, of course, it will reject me. And those that feel like I align with what they want, they will embrace me. And that is what exactly happened. So the company that really told me, like, Teddy, we are not taking you. The manager was very honest. She told me that according to your experience, you are not the right fit for this job because it's a beginner job. If we had we had a vacancy for a managerial role or a supervisory role in this sales, it was actually a sales job. I would have given it to you. But this is a startup job, and looking at your resume, it will be like you are making yourself shrink because of the situation you're going through. And that really made a lot of sense to me. Just to wind back, I've always wanted to be in real estate, but every company that I tried out, in fact, it's one of the companies that called me back then. They said that we want to give you a job, but we're not giving you a visa, we're not giving you medical insurance, we're not giving you nothing. You are starting from scratch, and if that is okay with you, you can start working. Truth is that I wasn't in the financial capacity at that time to take care of my visa, of my medical insurance, of my house, of my food, my transportation, and everything without earning, you know. So I was looking for a traditional job that I could rely on a monthly basis, on a monthly basis, monthly, on a monthly basis for a salary. So one of my friends who is working with a, a real estate company told me, Teddy, I just joined a new company and you wanted to be into real estate. Don't you think this is your opportunity to get in? I was like, yeah, I would love to. But remember, real estate companies, they don't give visas, they don't give medical insurance, they don't give nothing. It's just commission. And I don't feel like I'm in position to really take up something like that. Um, then he was like, I'm gonna talk to my manager and see what happens. Guys, guys, let me tell you, what is yours? What is you? The Bible says that the blessing of the Lord has it has no sorrow added unto it. When God blesses you with something, it will literally come from heaven and fall onto your lap. And that's how I feel like God led me to my current job. Okay, I know I am spilling the tea. So this guy took my resume, and then a week later, the manager called me and to schedule a meeting with me. I went to their offices, and just at the entrance of the office, I felt like, damn, this is my shit. You know, you know that feeling like this is where exactly I belong. I loved the office setup. I loved how they care about time. I loved how everybody was busy and running and making calls and speaking to clients. I loved the fact that they had an academy where they would help you with your mindset, how you look at sales, how you can sell to people, how you can how to look at yourself, how to become the best version of yourself, how to ah, how to feel valuable before you give value, how to be valuable, and how to package the value that you want to give to other people. Like everything about, if I have to be honest, I feel like um everything about this company completely aligns with my mindset at the moment and where I want my career to be. So, in fact, the interview was, it wasn't even like an interview, it was like a chit chat. Like, why do you want real estate? And for me, one of the reasons as to why I want to do something like real estate is because it doesn't have a cap limit. There's no ceiling to how much I can earn, as much as there is no specific to how much I can earn. I know there are months that can go by without any income, but then I know there are months that can go by when I can make it all up to all the months that I didn't earn. I feel like this is an opportunity for me of telling God that I know, Father, you can do exceedingly abundantly above all that I think or imagine. And right now, I am surrendering to you. I have a blank check. Give me what you feel like I deserve or I'm worth. And I'm really excited about what the future holds for me. So yeah, I got a new job. I'm going to be working as a property consultant in one of the most amazing real estate companies in the capital of United Arab Emirates, Abu Dhabi. I'm excited to take you along the journey. Now, my last message to somebody who is currently going through this situation. I want you to know that God knows what you want. The Bible says He knows our needs before we even mention them. And still, the Bible says He's willing to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we think of, ask, or imagine. God led me where exactly I've always wanted to do, but I didn't know if there is any company that would do the things, would give me the requirements that I needed in order to do this job without pressure. I didn't want to have pressure with, oh my God, I don't have a residency in this country. Oh my God, I have to take care of my medical bills. Oh my God, what if I fall sick? I love the fact that God, what I thought was impossible, God showed me it was possible, even amidst this political climate. So I just want to encourage you to hang in there, to trust God that He's going to lead you where exactly you need to be. Now, for me, it was a week. Okay, but I know for some people it could be a month, for some people it could be months or even a year. But regardless of how long it takes, I want you to know that God has the best interest for us. And sometimes waiting doesn't mean that it is in denial. It means that He is preparing you in order for you to get into the blessing when you are ready. I want you to believe me. If I got this job like a year ago when I needed it, I don't feel like I would have the right mindset to do it right. But now I've never been ready to get into this kind of job. I call it an untraditional employment because it's not a job where you go to and you expect a salary at the end of the month. It goes back to your strategy, to your mindset, to how much you are willing to put in, to your commitment, to your persistence, to your resilience. And these are the things that I'm very excited about. And they're the things that make my life worth living. So I'm really excited about this journey of my life. And I'm praying for anybody out there who is looking for their dream job. And I would love to encourage you not to settle for less just because you are in need. I want you to believe that God can give you exactly what you want and more. please do not shrink. But above all, let's learn from this situation that anything can happen with our jobs. So let's prepare. Let's create skills that are going to help us to lead us to the next opportunity. If only I didn't use this time in my previous company to work on myself, to study a few online courses, to work on my personal growth, probably I wouldn't be in position to embrace this new opportunity. But because I was prepared, and I want to say God was preparing me for this situation, even when I thought He delayed, even when I thought it was denial. So now, in the hindsight, I see that God, that everything works out for good for those who love God. And I trust that everything is working out for good for you. My last remarks is to encourage and to remind you to always create an emergency fund that can sustain you in situations like this. An emergency fund is saving at least 6 months of your monthly expenses on an account. Don't just put it on a fixed deposit. Put it somewhere where it can make a little profit for you so that by the time you need it, it has made some profit for you and it's going to help you move you to the next level without really bothering people in your family, your friends. I really want to thank God that um, I had to learn that the hard way, and yeah, I'm so grateful for the new journey, and I wish me luck as I wish you luck. If this video resonated with you, please share your thoughts in the comment section. And by the way, I created a video on about finances. If you want to work on your finances, check out the video right here. It will help you, give you the basics on how you can start working on your finances so that situations like this do not deprive you, do not lead you into depression, because it is so hard going through a job loss without something on a side to sustain you. That being said, thanks for watching this podcast. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hi, sis. If you've watched this far, clearly you have enjoyed the podcast. If you haven't yet subscribed, please take a minute to subscribe and like this video. Also, leave a comment behind on what stood out the most for you in this conversation. If you have a story, or if you know anybody who has a story that can inspire us or help us learn a thing or two, please send me a message on teddybanksdigital@gmail.com, and I'll see you in the next video. If you enjoyed this video, you are probably gonna love this one or this one. Let me know what you think about them. Bye.